When trying to design something, sometimes you just feel stuck and it drives you crazy. And then the solutions hit you. You think, oh, that's how I should design it. And then it all comes to you in a flurry. And then you find yourself buying the pieces. Next up, you find yourself designing the instruction manual in order to build it. And then the next thing you know, you have a finished product. So this is my design of Root using Lego. Now the footage you're watching, I recorded some audio with it. However, the mic I was using was very bad, so I decided to just reuse the footage but re-record the audio at the computer. Here I'm showing each of the clearings that are on the map. And then I took a shot later to show a close-up that really shows you the buildings, which are the brown bricks, and the ruins, which are the gray bricks. Here's the river, and as you can see in the clearings, I put studs where the river intersects the clearing so that you can use each clearing as a normal space without having to worry about which spaces are river spaces and which spaces are land spaces. Next, to represent the hundreds of trees that Kyle Farron drew on the automap, I put individual cone pieces from Lego. Then, to represent each clearing suit, I changed a few of the tree's colors to red, orange, or yellow, depending on the suit. This part of the board contains the things that would not fit on the rest of the map. So there's the items, the extra buildings to replace the ruins, and the victory point track. So how the extra buildings work is you'll take it off from here and then swap it with one of the gray bricks that represents the ruins once the vagabond searches through the ruins. Then the victory point track, you'll start on one side of the track, go around, then wrap back to the white brick, and then whoever gets to the white brick will then be the winner. And here's a shot of how the cylinders would look on the victory point track. Lastly, I have the items here, and each of them is represented by a different Lego piece. This will be the teapot, which is represented by a blue cone. There are some other Lego pieces that could be used as better representations. However, I avoided anything that was expensive. Next up is the bag that I represented with a 1x1 green stud. And then the hammer, I used this special piece. It's not exactly a hammer shape, but I think it gets the point across. This is what I use to represent the crossbow. It's probably one of the worst representation, but I think it should be fairly easy to memorize which one it is. Next, the silver teeth represent the swords. Then I have the boots, which are just 1x1 slopes. Lastly, there are the coins, which are represented by 1x1 circular tiles. We'll see the torch later when we look at the vagabond. That covers the board, so we'll turn our attention to the box beneath the board. Inside, there's several slots for the factions, the deck, the dice, and the vagabond cards. Here you can see I'm showing the deck fully sleeved. If you check the instructions in the description, you will see that I have one less brick height for the box in the instructions when compared to what I have here. And that's because when the deck is unsleeved, you don't need that many stacks. So these represent the Vagabond Quest cards. You'll have 3 out when you start the game, and you'll use the map to block which ones you're picking. Then throughout the game, when you complete a quest, you'll set it aside and draw a new one from the inside of the box without looking. Then we have the dice. The dice are not 4-sided dice because it's pretty hard to do in Lego, but I have a 6-sided die here made of what the community calls super Erlings, and it's a pretty simple design. I think you can deduce it from what I'm showing. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 or 0, 1, 2, 3 for root specifically, I have 2 black tiles to block out the 5 and the 6, and then I have the suit colors so that the die doubles as a suit randomizer. Now, you probably should choose bird as being 3, but then the 0, 1, 2, you'll have to determine yourself by picking either mouse or rabbit as 0. They should be pretty functional dice, but you will have to re-roll them occasionally if you roll the black sides. Next up, the factions are over here, and you can tell I have one board for each faction. Beneath them, there's this smooth tile so that you can easily grab them without them getting stuck. And then here, I'm going to flip the map upside down so that I can use it to get better camera focus. This is the Marquis de Cat, and the Earlings are representing the warriors, and the 1x1 bricks represent the buildings. This will represent the recruiter, and then the circles will be the sawmills, and the wedges will be the workshop. And then the keep is got the clip on top of it, whereas the wood is the other cylinders. I'll be using cylinders to represent tokens consistently throughout. Then for the Erie dynasties, we have a pretty similar setup. We have the Earlings to represent the warriors, and then we have 1x1s with studs on top to represent the roosts. And finally, we have some cones to represent the leader cards. Now, obviously, you can pick what colors you want to represent here, or just use the actual leader cards themselves. But for me, I use yellow for charismatic, black for despot, brown for commander, and white for the builder. So the alliance has the warriors, the sympathy tokens, which are pretty obvious, and it also has the bases, which are represented by the 1x1s with the different colored studs on top to represent the different suits. Here is what a base would look like if it took up a building slot on the map, which is a good representation of how the buildings function in general. Lastly, we have the Vagabond, which is the most complex board, but it's not that hard to understand. Here we have the Alliance track with the 3 different spaces for 1, 2, and then Allied. And then we have the ruin items here in the back. Over here are the starting items, including the yellow tooth that represents the torch. And then these are the actual Vagabond tokens, yellow for Tinkerer, black for Ranger, and gray for Thief. Then how this is going to work is this tan space that the starting items are on will be your satchel, the gray will be for the track items, and the black will be for the damaged items. So you'll just move the items between these 3 spaces to represent the different sections of the Vagabond map. So it's not that complicated once you understand. Now, here's how the factions go back into the box. You have to be pretty particular, so pay attention to the instructions or follow my example here. Otherwise, that's pretty much all I have to show you for today. Theoretically, I could build other maps or factions, but I haven't done that yet. This has been Unrenderable. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.